culture,
Definitely.
behavior of people, buying pattern of people, everything is different. So the
True
more
that.
they see, the more they understand, the more they learn, and then the more they can, apply it in their lives in future. Yeah.
Mhm. They
Yeah.
become a
So,
lot responsible as well.
sorry,
Yeah.
Sarika
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can we
Tanushree ma'am,
begin
can
this?
you unmute yourself and we can start with the session, please?
Okay.
Over to Tanush.
Sorry to cut short the conversation.
No, no, sure. Tell me.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of the 6-day online ATAL Faculty Development Program, which is Redefining Hospitality, Innovations and Emerging Trends. A warm thank you to all the participants for being part of yesterday's session, which was truly vibrant and insightful, enriched, of course, by our speakers and definitely by everyone's participation. So, as we begin today's proceedings, we have 2 exciting sessions which are lined up over the next 3 years. And right now, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce our first speaker for the day, Mr. Amritaksha Chatterjee, who will be talking about revenue management and yield strategies in hotels. A seasoned hospitality professional with over 2 decades of international experience in revenue optimization, commercial strategy, and asset management within the luxury hotel sector. He has worked with leading global brands such as Intercontinental Hotels, Starwood, Royal Orchid, RIMC Hospitality, and Shangri-La Hotels and Resorts, where he currently serves as Director of Revenue Management for the multi-property complex in Abu Dhabi. Mr. Chatterjee is known for his expertise in data-driven strategies, digital transformation, and sustainable profitability across multi-property operations. A certified hospitality business acumen professional and Six Sigma Green Belt, he holds a master's diploma in marketing from Symbiosis Institute of Management Studies, Pune, and a bachelor's in hotel management from Srinivas College, Mangalore. Please join me in warmly welcoming Mr. Amritaksha Chatterjee to the ATAL FTP. So, we welcome you, and now the screen is yours.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So, just to give you a little bit of a brief, we'll talk about overall about revenue management and then a bit of our strategies. How do we drive those strategies in our day-to-day operations, and what kind of results we expect out of those strategies in core nutshell. I mean, it's more of a knowledge function, and how it operates is what I'm trying to explain to you all. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask during the presentation or at a later stage. You can ask me that. I'll just share my screen. You can see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir,
Visible, sir.
visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can see it, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir, it
sir.
is
Yes, sir.
visible.
Visible.
It is
Okay.
clear.
Audible,
It's quite
clear?
quite visible, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
Okay. Like the picture?
yes, sir.
Okay,
yes,
Yes, sir.
excellent. Okay, so let's start. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking out time and being there for this session. Uh, Generally speaking, if you ever encounter a revenue specialist, a manager, director, whatever, he would probably every time talk about numbers. He would speak about spreadsheets, Excel files, a lot of jargons. I'll try not to speak about all that. I'll try and make it as simple as possible, so that we can exactly understand what's the story and how we unfold the tricks of the trade while we operate as a core function in the hospitality sector. So when we talk about revenue management and yield management, we generally get to see this happening every day in our lives. This is not something which is something magical. Yes, it's magical probably because when you see the effects, it is magical. But I can give you simple examples. You know, in a hotel, once upon a time, there was there used to be a hotel wherein they had uh, individual coffee machines in their rooms. Coffee machines, when I say it, the ones which uses those pods like the Nespresso machines. Guests would happily use those pods because they were a part and parcel of the room and it was not charged. One day, one fine morning, somebody in the management decided that we give these pods free to the guests and the guests happily, use them and have their coffee free of charge. Why don't we put a minimal charge for it? And the hotel started charging $1 for each pod. The hotel was excited. Why? Because if it was something new and they would look up to some kind of a revenue stream out of it. Initially, it went well. They were very happy that the numbers were seeing that the numbers were coming up, and probably they saw that about 10-12% of business in terms of revenue has gone up. However, in the long run, after a couple of months, they saw that they are seeing some diminishing loyal guests. Now, that certainly made them worry a lot because if you see that there's a challenge with the guest satisfaction, certain strategies that means they are not working. So then the hotel decided that okay, fine, we have understood that we are losing over here and let's stop it. So the hotel stopped it, and then in about 6-8 months time they saw those guests coming back. So revenue management isn't just about what we charge. It's certainly about understanding a guest, or rather a perception of a guest, of how he feels about certain aspects of a hotel offering. So our deliver, pardon?
So please continue. There's someone
Okay.
with the mic on. So
So it's about our deliverables and how we understand our guest in doing so, in managing the deliverables towards the guests. Similar kind of examples you can see in a day-to-day lives wherein you go to the airport and you see the guy sitting beside you. Probably, I mean, you will not know, but the gentleman sitting beside you probably has paid a price of 5,000 rupees to fly from Mumbai to Delhi. You have paid probably 4,500 because you booked it maybe a month back. The gentleman sitting beside him probably must have paid 3,000, and the person who is sitting in front of you must have paid 6,000. So these are these are things that you get to see, get to understand regularly in our part and parcel of our lives as and when we are getting into. And why this discrimination, if I may say, why this discrimination happens is because at different point of time the price of a certain object holds certain value, and the value diminishes or it grows with the understanding of the demand in the market and the perception that it attaches to that particular service, or rather you can say in this case the travel. So if the demand is high for that particular day, you will see that the price is continuously going up and there won't be any end. But if you see that prices have stagnated, even a day out, you're seeing whatever prices you saw about 5 days, 8 days back, you see the same price, means the demand is flat. So it tells a story. We have a story behind that number that we see. The number is actually an emotion. Why an emotion? Because that number is telling you a story of what has happened and why it is not going up, or sometimes why it is not going down. But it sometimes goes down also. And when going down means it's a sign of, to some extent, a sign of desperation, that they are not filling up. Probably they had to fill out of 200 seats, 100 seats, but it's not filling up, so they are going down in the price. So before I get into too many stories, let's go back a little bit on where all of this started. So we all know that the moment you ask, from my time in when I first joined the industry, I've been hearing just one thing: revenue management is selling the right product to the right customer at the right time for the right price. Yeah, it's absolutely right, because that's what all we try at each and every point of time. But there is a bigger story behind it. So let's try and understand how it started, because how it started is very exciting. And it's all started with an airline company in US trying to do something a little bit different, I would say. So U.S. airlines deregulation began in around, I think, 79, around 78, 79. There was a company by the name People Express. They were founded in 1981. Um, they came into the picture. They started an airline. It was just like one of our airlines in India. I mean, not so much, but like I would say to some extent, if I may use a name, maybe like Indigo. No frills, um, very much low price driven airline, which would try and have bare minimum requirement. So basically everything you ask for, you pay for it. You don't have anything other than the seat. So this People Express airline started, and at that time in US, market was strong. It was full of very high demand, and luxury airlines, if I may say. And a company like American Airlines was a legacy career in the market. They would do it. It was a full service airline. So what happened was they started feeling the pinch because of People Express, as they were serving. They would operate at a totally different low cost, fewer amenities, special fare structure model. So these big airlines certainly have a lot of frills, whether you talk about the services, you talk about the seats, you talk about the other add-ons that come in. And basically it is all made up, packaged in their fare. So American Airlines started facing a little bit of a challenge. So they understood one thing, that if they have to survive, and they have to make sure that they have to make sure that they come up with a strategy to tackle this low cost airline. In 3 months time, they devised a strategy. They created a business model. They looked at a fair strategy. They did some technological innovations. They added some softwares. They boosted up their frequent flyer program. And then what happened was very simple. American Airlines flew higher and higher, and People Express started losing money. So they deployed basically a new pricing, which was called a Super Saver, wherein American Airlines Super Saver was much better than People Express. People Express could go down to a certain level only, but American Airlines, being American Airlines, they certainly started a campaign with the Super Saver offer, saying that you don't need to fly People Express, we are there for you. However, there were certain TNCs behind it. But anyway, to cut it short, they did well with all these things that they did. The new rates or the new strategy, the way it was played out in return was, in 6 months, People Express had to shut their operation. So when you shut your operation, means you have some learnings out of it. So the learnings were simple for American Airlines. They understood that prices and inventory had to be managed together. So what they did was these low price seats were to be managed very well. So not that they were selling all the seats cheap, but they had a certain number of seats which were sold at a lower price model or super saver model, and the rest were the normal prices. And they triggered the prices, they tiered the prices, they made sure their brand campaign was strong enough to spread the word in the market. And that's how American Airlines, as a big airline of US, survived. So this is from where revenue management actually started. So it's an airline that actually tried out, tested it out, and they introduced it in their overall operations of the company. And then hotels took over. So there are a few things which are, and whatever I've narrated now, you can Google online. It's easily available. Just search for People Express story. They will give you pages after pages of what happened, how it happened, getting into more details and nitty gritties. So what's similar to what we see nowadays over here? So one is obviously we see the discounts. The discounts are fenced. So terms like in hotels, you'll find terms like advance purchase or early bird offers. Those early bird offers are always fenced. When I say fenced means very simple, means they have some TNCs. Either they'll say that you cannot cancel once you book. They are low fares. So if your normal price is 100, the advance purchase or early booking price would be say probably about 80. So they would have some fencing. Fencing means they would have some TNCs like you cannot cancel, you can't change the date, and you have to pay up. So it's non-refundable, non-cancelable, and 100% payment. So that's how the fencing works on these lower fares. Also, what they started doing at that particular time is started creating forecast. Why? Because they can then understand the demand of whether we need to drive this on certain sectors or not, or whether do we need to drive this special super saver offer on certain dates or not. And then obviously they created inventory and the price regulation, which helped them to understand how the profitability could be worked out so that the airline doesn't lose much of its money. And they create and gain more out of these strategies than losing money. So this is again something which we do every day. So again, a learning which has come from the airlines is now being used in the hospitality industry. So some key dates which would help you to understand what are the timelines and how they build up the whole thing. So 1985, American Airlines invents revenue management. Approximately around that time, 1988, there comes Marriott with first hospitality company creating a revenue management discipline and deploying a system. Again, till about I would say to some extent about say about till 2000 or 2005, I would say this is horizon one. Horizon one means the fundamental, the basics are getting set. The baseline is getting set of how the data and the science needs to be looked at to develop this knowledge function. Then in 96, we saw hotel companies like Hilton, Shangri-La, they deploy Ideas. Ideas is a very renowned company. They deal with data science. They have revenue management systems across the world. Most of the big chains, they use them or unless they have developed on their own. 99, Marriott goes into a property level, multi-level hotel clusters in US, and they also start group revenue management system. So again, one step ahead of what others were doing. 2008, IHG starts doing dynamic pricing, means each and every pricing that the system gives us, it could change in a minute, in an hour, in a second, it could change. So that means the system was triggering by understanding the booking patterns of what bookings are coming in for a specific day or for a specific period. So it was that kind of a dynamic system IHG created. In 2011, you had total yield system deployed by Marriott. Again, one more advancement. And then in 2014, Ideas launches G3 or Generation 3, which we use nowadays, which is a very advanced system. It gives you room rates, gives you room rates by room types, by day of the week, different patterns. It can change it at any point of time. It gives you an LRV. So different terms are there. So in short, it's a very advanced system, and that's what we are using now. So if you look at it till about 2000, 2005, we were in Horizon 1. After that, slowly, we went into Horizon 2, which is now. Why Horizon 2? Horizon 2 means we are gaining momentum. We are trying to understand a little bit more. We are trying to gauge data. Data is a science. There's lots of data. I mean, around us, we have a lot of data. But how to use that data is critical and it is important. So in Horizon 2, I think the systems as well as the people who are driving the system slowly learned how to drive that data. And Horizon 3 is where we are slowly moving in, wherein we have the data baseline and now we are deploying that data to get decisions. Even now we are getting decisions, but the decisions that probably in future that would be coming, it would be much more scientific, because slowly we'll see artificial intelligence getting involved into this whole process. So that's where we are, and that's how we are moving ahead with with revenue management and the systems in future. It is currently a totally system driven feature, because most of the hotels, they use different systems, and that's how we drive it. Let's come to some basics of revenue management. So we all know rooms are perishable, and if you don't sell a room, it's gone. It's like an airline seat. You don't sell it for that trip, gone. You've lost the opportunity. If you see over here, this is a 100-room hotel, and on certain days or whatever, in certain months, we have done these kind of average occupancy. So 65 rooms, 70 rooms, 82 rooms, 68 rooms. So on certain days we have done this. This is what our occupancy is, or what we can say, this is what our demand is. This was the demand. We have captured the demand. We can certainly say, yes, we have captured the demand. But what if I say that, no, this is not a genuine figure that you're trying to show me, that this was the demand on that particular day or on that particular night? Why? Because there's always much more than you can see. So in revenue management, we talk about demand, that is observed demand, and we talk about unconstrained demand, a demand which is beyond the level capacity of the hotel. So the demand can be of 125 rooms, the demand can be of 200 rooms, the demand can be of 300 rooms in a 300-room property. Irrespective of the fact how many rooms you have, the demand is a market phenomena. So the market can have that kind of demand. Maybe you are capturing 90 rooms or you are capturing 100 rooms. So that's the capacity of the hotel. So this concept is where uh, we try and trigger our strategies and actions, and which helps us to achieve our goal. So when we look at types of demand, as I said, observed demand, it determines basically through accurate capture of historical data, volume, pattern, and segmentation. So this is what, okay, on last Monday or yesterday, we did out of 100 rooms, we did 95 rooms. So that's the observed demand. Unconstrained demand is true demand regardless of any space capacity. So yesterday we did 100% occupancy in a 100-room hotel. However, our unconstrained demand for that particular day was close to about 120 rooms. Means 20 rooms more were there. Could we have captured it? No. How we would have dealt with it? I'll show you how we could have dealt with it. So let's take this example. 300 capacity hotel, 300 room hotel. So green ones are observed demand. If you look at the pattern over here, it simply gives us a true understanding of how the demand pattern is for this whole week. So basically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the occupancy goes up, it peaks on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it slides down during the weekend. Probably this is a city hotel, which has a lot of corporate business, a lot of travelers coming in for 2-3 nights, and then checking out by Friday. However, if you look at it, the unconstrained demand, especially on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it is higher than the capacity of the hotel, means above 300 rooms. So this gives probably some kind of an opportunity for the hotel to maximize. So how they would maximize? They could maximize by using some pricing tools, by understanding that what price would give them the right amount of business segmentation, business mix, as well as what price would give them the maximum amount of revenue. Then the question comes, are they losing some revenue on a Thursday night? Are they losing some revenue on a Monday night? So probably over here, we could also look at some length of stay wherein you lock in that you cannot come on so and so day. You have to come on this day to check out on a Friday or check out on a Thursday. Or you can come on a Wednesday, but you can check out, you have to check out, you have to depart only on Friday so that you can capture maximum demand over here. Your core understanding is to make sure that this goes up. If this goes up, you're happy. Why? Because you have not left so many rooms vacant. You make sure that the maximum number of rooms are occupied. So over here also. So that's how unconstrained demand works. It's the demand that you don't get to see because you're not capturing it, but you have an understanding that how much more business can I capture. It can be unconstrained demand, not only necessary that it is there only on high demand days. Unconstrained demand can be there on lower demand days. You see over here, can be there on high demand days, can be there on moderate demand days. It can be there any day. It might not go beyond your capacity, but it is the demand which is available. But your supply is, your capacity is limited. And there's always a true market demand, which shows you that your capacity is so much, and this is more than what you should try to do so that you can bridge the gap. So this is how in our spectrum, this is how we look at demand. We look at it beyond the capacity of the hotel. So how does demand function? Demand functions in a very variant way. Why variant? Because a system to look at a demand tries to understand the historical patterns. Why historical patterns? Because historical patterns tells us that this is the way how the demand would build up for, say, 15th of April 2026, or this is the way how the demand would come on that particular date from that particular segment, or even from that certain particular markets. Now look at this picture. I mean, it gives us a clear-cut understanding. This is again an image of how a machine learns and how a machine tells us that how the demand would evolve for that particular date. So 365 days out, it was saying that for this particular date means over here where it has gone. So this is the particular date, day. So it says that you will have an elevated demand on that particular day. So for 15th April, 365 days out, the system is already saying that there would be elevated demand, means the demand will be high. Then it goes to 332 days prior, it says demand is going to be high, so you better be ready. So you try and do whatever you want to do, increase your price or whatever. Why is it saying? Because it probably understands some business patterns. It is also reading the market, what is happening in the market. And then around 287 days prior, it says your demand is going to be very high. Now, but the hotel is still saying what is the system saying? It's all flat. Nothing is happening. So yes, manually, if you look at it and if you try to run this, it is not possible. There's so many algorithms that are there at the back end that the functionality is going on, and it is all machine learning that is happening, that it is humanly not possible. So the system is telling us this is going to. So if I start believing in the system, I said, okay, fine, great. You have some stories. I want to know the story. So if you dig deep, then you can understand exactly why it is saying. But exactly the hotel starts seeing that change 146 days prior to the travel, that the market occupancy begins to pick up. And that's where we are on the day of the arrival. So on the 15th of April 2026, this is where we are. So that's how demand changes, evolution of demand happens. Now again, you can say that, oh, does it happen to all the markets? No, not necessarily. Um, it can happen 90 days out, it can happen 45 days out, it can happen 180 days out. Different markets work differently. So if you see that there are certain markets which are a lot of markets which are event driven, say some conventions happening, some special events happening, they would have certainly this kind of a graph. Why? Because people try and book many days, months prior. Um, a, a hotel which is a lot of FIT business driven would probably see this as a very short curve, probably 90 days out or 80 day or 50 days, 60 days out, you would see this jump happening. A hotel which is maybe a leisure destination, maybe like say Goa or somewhere, you would find this graph again, maybe 200 days out, the pickup would happen. Why? People would book in advance for their holidays because they know December is a busy month. We need to book in advance, whether it's hotels, flights, all that. So evolution of demand is certainly something which goes with the market, type of business that you're attracting, type of segment that you're trying to target. All that put together gives us a clear-cut understanding of how and where this activity would start for that particular hotel or for that particular market. So knowing what to sell, when to sell, and whom to sell is very important, because if we don't know a target market, then how are we going to sell? We can't just go out in the market saying that, okay, we are priced at $100. Please come and stay at us at a hotel. We can't do that. So we exactly need to know what we are trying to do. As hotels, as hoteliers, we have abundance of data, of understanding how the business is coming in. But sometimes I think we still fail to read the behavior of our customers, because our customer behaviors are dynamic. They're changing. And if you feel that, oh, last year this is what happened, so this year it is going to happen, I'm sorry, it doesn't happen that way. So you have to constantly try and read the market, read what is going in the market, understand your exceptions, because exceptions are activities which tells us a story which would help you to drive your strategic actions. Otherwise, you're just doing the same thing over and over again. Customers change their buying pattern. People change the way they want to stay. People change the way they travel. Changes happen, and we have to make sure that we are always on top of it in understanding how they're doing that. Uh, so modern revenue management is not only about rooms and rooms and rooms. That's a very conventional approach, because we always try to make sure that that's the core set. Let's try and make sure that's the base, the fundamentals are set so that we don't have any scope of failure in that. But today's revenue management is it's all about total revenue management. We talk about rooms, we talk about spa, we talk about F&B, we talk about events, we talk about ancillary revenues, we talk about space. So we talk about everything. I mean, wherever there is an opportunity, we try and we go and optimize. So we look at key KPIs like total RevPAR, net RevPAR, GoPAR. These basically tell us that are we doing a good job in terms of driving the revenue potential into our business, into the hotel. Certainly, one aspect, if I pick up, I say, oh, we did well with rooms. Last year we did 5 million. This year we did 6 million. Great, you know, revenue jump of about a million. But how did it relate to our GOP? How did it relate to our other areas, ancillaries? If we want to try and read the whole story, there could be a situation wherein you did 1 million more, but F&B suffered. And F&B did 500,000 lower than what they did previous year. And why did they do lower? Because probably a simple decision that was taken to take a particular piece of business, rooms business into the hotel, which didn't support the F&B business. Maybe I had some crew business which had paid a very good rate, but they didn't have any F&B spend. So F&B suffered. Or maybe because I had a mice group for a very long period, or I just went on um, taking in as much as possible mice business, that our events did well, rooms did well, but F&B outlets didn't do well, ancillaries didn't do well, like spa didn't do well, or recreation didn't do well. So it is not about a particular aspect, it is about total aspect of the business function, how we are driving it is where today revenue management is. Let's come to yield management. Yield management is a part of revenue management. It primarily focuses on how to drive a little bit more revenue with the help of some pricing decisions in response to some fluctuations in the market. Um, Simple, very small things that can trigger. I mean, you've sold say you have 100 rooms in the hotel and there are 35 rooms which are your base category rooms. You've sold all those rooms, and you know that you have still not reached a level of highest occupancy wherein you would say that yes, I have done well. So when the guest comes, you try and upsell the room, or you try and close out all your lower category rooms and you keep only your club rooms or suites open. So you try and yield, and then you play a price game by tweaking the price as and when you see you're coming closer to the day of arrival. So these are a couple of aspects of yield management, and people, all of us, we use this yield management term every day to make sure that we are doing better than what we were doing. We are doing something different in our business decisions, so that we get an overall we optimize our revenues in the overall perspective of the hotel. Revenue management basically talks about all other, a very broad term, I would say. It talks about the overall aspect of business, how we are managing the business, how we are planning and driving our point of sale businesses, and how we are looking at key strategies which would help us reach our goal in future. Yield management has many other smaller examples which I can tell you day-to-day life. We see dining out experiences wherein you would see that, okay, if you come and dine with us from between 6:30 to 7:30, you get a whatever, you get a 20% discount, or we have a happy hour from 5 to 7. So these are experiences of yield management. Why we are doing that? We are doing it because we know that those during that period it's not busy. We want it to be busy. So we are ready to take a little bit of a hit in terms of giving an offer, giving an offering, but making sure that we are doing well by generating some revenue during that period. Ordering a cab, I'm sure all of us, we know in each and every city we see some surge pricing going on. Okay, so 6 o'clock to in the evening, 5:30 to say 7:30 or 9 o'clock, you'll all of a sudden find that the prices of going from one point to the other up by about 10% or 15%. You'll also see surge pricing happening during the day, maybe from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, the prices are about 5-7% lower. Surge pricing also works very well on special nights, wherein so 31st December, they make sure that they make you pay more than what you expect. So it can go up to surge pricing can go up to 25-30%. So nobody wants to drive their own car. Either they get hold of a chauffeur or they try and take a cab. And the moment you take a cab, you're paying much more than what you would normally pay. Going to a show, again, morning shows generally priced lower, evening shows, night shows are priced higher. Morning shows, why low? 10 o'clock show, nobody is there to go on a Monday morning or a Tuesday morning. So you generally see the tickets priced a little bit lower than the other prices. Toll charges, parking charges, again, not sure if it happens in India, but over here it's there's a surge pricing wherein between 7 in the morning to about 9:30 in the morning, the toll charges are very high. And then again in the evening between 5 and 7, toll charges are high. Parking charges on certain days are free. On certain days, parking charges are levied because they want to control the cars. They want to make sure that the cars, all the people who are coming, they're paying for it. So it's an opportunity. So these are general couple of them which we can look at it in terms of how yield management is a functional tactics in hotels as well as other sectors. Let's talk about a little bit of on business mix market segmentation, because this is critical, and why it's critical is that, as I said earlier, identifying a customer segment and forecasting is very important, because if you don't know who's coming to you to your hotel, it's then a very big task to manage your business. So whether it's for leisure, whether it's for wellness, whether it's a couple coming to, stay for a couple of nights, whether it's a solo traveler, you want to understand this, the price sensitivity. You want to understand the willingness to pay. You want to understand the purpose of the trip, the need of the trip. You want to understand when are they booking, how are they booking, why are they booking. So what channel are they using to book? And certainly each one of them, they have a different need or they have a different requirement. You need to be prepared, because it is not only you're talking about a room, it is about you're talking about the other areas also attached to that room, the buying of that room that goes well with a particular segment. Not each and every segment would buy each and every offerings that you have. So you need to understand that, okay, if I want to drive a little bit of my F&B, I need to target a couple, probably for a maybe a nice cozy dinner, maybe in the beach, a special dinner, or maybe a special table at near the window overlooking the garden. If you want to target a guest who's come for wellness, maybe you need to target with your special offerings, some healthy offerings of whatever the chef can create. So you can create a special yeah, food list of food items which would be offered to the guest. Leisure, eat anything anywhere. Maybe you have a family, you have kids. So everything has a particular understanding of who's buying, how they are buying, and on what your audiences need. So whether it's a solo traveler, couple, families, everybody has their requirements. And a hotel to be smart, a hotel to be progressive, and a hotel to be prepared has to make sure that the hotel is ready with all those offerings, because that's the opportunity. No one will come and tell you that, do you have this? The expectation level nowadays is that you have it. If you don't have it, is a disappointment. You have it is basically a, a bare minimum that's there. Let's look at business optimization, or other business mix, how it matters to a hotel from the point of view of revenue. Take this example. Let's look at simple things. I mean, this is a 100-room hotel. We have one length of stay, means we are talking about a business wherein people would stay for one night. We have, what is the demand? Demand is all obviously unconstrained demand is of 125 room nights. So means your hotel is 100 room, but you can pick up 125 room. But we have capacity constraints. We will not be able to pick up 125 rooms. So we have to choose the best option out of this. I can certainly see public rates. Why? Because my focus is over here. I can see $150 he's paying, so I would take the best of the best. I'll take all the 20 rooms. Then comes the big question. Whom do I take? Because I just have only 100 rooms. So then probably I would say that, okay, let's look at negotiators. 50 rooms at $90. Then there is wholesale, means your travel agents, 15 rooms at $78. And then there is groups, 40 rooms at $80. So yes, I would like to take this, but I don't know what to do with this. So a decision has to be taken on how we need to manage our business mix. So let's look at what is a perfect mix. So we took as a perfect mix, we took our public rates, 20 rooms. We took 40 rooms of negotiated means corporate. So corporate business, we said that, okay, 40 rooms only we'll not take 50, because we need to manage this. We need to take the groups. So we took 40 rooms of the groups, and we let the wholesale FIT go. So we said that, no, we are not going to take this room. We could have taken this more, but if we would have taken this more, we had to say no to this group, because groups cannot be split. Corporate FIT individuals can be restricted. We can say that we want 30, 20, whatever. Also, groups would give us much more opportunity. Why? Because they would have some F&B spend. So that is an addition to what we would get otherwise from the other segments. So overall, this mix gives us, in this exercise, gives us the best possible revenue that we can achieve from the examples that have been given. So business mix optimization is very important and very key in our day-to-day lives in the hotels. We always try to make sure that we control. We understand the segments. We try and we will try to understand it in such a way that we understand their buying power, analyze the impact of those segments into our RevPAR performance, determine the unconstrained demand for our segments, and implement decisions according to the trends, according to our forecast, and cap them or grow them. So certain segments, like how we saw, we capped them. We said that, no, we are not going to take, or we want to grow them. So if I would have had an opportunity to grow over here, I would have grown it, and again dropped this. So that's how we deal with our overall business optimization. So not every piece of business is said yes. We decline businesses based on our requirement, and that's the core fundamental of revenue management. You don't say yes to everything. You need to analyze. You need to look at it, what you require, what are the demand levels in the market. Based on that, we accept the business. Strategies and interconnection. This is something which is very key, because this is where all the key areas that uncover, from the tools to our actions, they come alive. So why correlative? Why interconnections? Because certain actions have mutual and or I would say reciprocal relationships where one thing closely connected to the other to depend on another. It refers to some kind of a mutual connection between the concepts, and it is not that they can't work independently, but it is better that the aspect and understanding of each one of them and what they trigger is understood well, because that's how they function. They are all related in some way or the other. So let's look at the first part, pricing. This is very important, and pricing is key in revenue management. Before we start talking about pricing, we understand some of the concepts like willingness to pay. Willingness to pay reflects the basically maximum price they are ready to pay for a particular product. Not necessarily that everybody would like to pay the prices that you say that, okay, I want to charge $100 or $200 for this room. Not necessarily everybody would love to pay that price. They generally come back and they try and understand whether that's the perception that they have, and that does that equate to the level of value that he sees in that particular price for that particular object. Versus if they're challenging you, why they're challenging you? Because they have for certain things a little bit of a price sensitivity. Price sensitivity comes when you believe that that value is not right, or you're trying to get some kind of a discount, you're getting into some kind of a negotiation with your customers. Willingness to pay certainly correlates to strong brand trust, quality perception, and emotional engagement. While discount is more of, I would say, uh, very deal oriented, price consciousness of do I really need to pay? Can you bring it down by $20? Can you bring it down by $50? That's the concept. But willingness to pay certainly tells us whether we are, for our product, whether we are price positioned right or not. Let's look at an example, very simple example. Let's look at the first one, which is a mobile. So I had say a mobile, an Apple, maybe Apple 13, iPhone 13, and I upgraded my iPhone 13 to iPhone 17, the new one which came, and I paid whatever 1.5 lakhs or 1.2 lakhs or whatever amount. And it probably tells us that I switched the phone without even thinking about anything. I didn't think about Android. I didn't think about iPhone 16, but I just straight away changed my phone, and I took it in that way that yes, this is the one that I feel that suits me, or I will not be able to bear the cost of switching technology from iPhone to Android, though Android might be 10-15,000 cheaper, or maybe iPhone 16 is cheaper, but I don't want to compromise over there. I'm willing to pay even a little bit higher premium over Android. But does this work well for each and every object, product that we think of? Think about it in your daily lives. You must be thinking in this way. Let's take the example of my car. My car is probably 10 years old, but I don't find the value of changing my car. I feel that my car is great. I drive it every day. It is giving me the basic functionality, and the value that I perceive out of that car is perfect. I don't want to spend another single rupee more on that car. I don't want to buy a new car. I'm happy with that car. So my value that I perceive out of that car and the value that I perceive out of that phone that I bought is totally different. On one aspect, we are seeing that there's no price sensitivity, and the second one, the gentleman or myself, I am price sensitive to buying a new car. Why? I feel that I'm fine with that. I don't want to spend money. I'm sure in our daily lives we see this, doing this a lot of times with simple, small things, and that's how we are humans. We think in that way. And we have to understand this because our customers think in that way. When we say our customers think in that way, the buying happens that way. There are customers who even discuss about, dropping $10 because they feel that it is too expensive. There are customers who even buy when they see that it's gone up by about $50, $80, $200, they still buy because the value that they perceive buying a room in this particular hotel on this branded hotel probably is much more than that cost of shifting from maybe a Shangri-La hotel to some other hotel. That's how, as humans, we believe and we think. A better way to understand is let's look at how much you are willing to pay for water. This is absolutely visible in each and every place, each and every market. You go out to your nearby shop, kirana shop, you'll see 10 types of bottles stacked in his store. And you'll see end of the day it's water. Water is priceless, right? You want to drink water, but one bottle will be priced at maybe 20 rupees, one would be 50 rupees, one would be 100, one would be 150, one would be probably 250, or maybe 1000. Now, the absolute cost of water is identical, and so indeed is water itself. The perception of the job that the water is doing in each of these scenarios, all these are all fancy bottles, fancy water, they're all the same. You are basically drinking that water to quench your thirst. But perception over here is essential. In value pricing, perception is essential. So what value you attach to that particular bottle? Maybe the bottle is fancy, maybe the name is fancy, or I have seen somebody carry that bottle, so I want to carry that bottle. Some kind of a notion that is there in your mind sometimes gets attached to that particular object, which is your perception. In value pricing, that's why perception is essential. Customer perceived value is the holy grail of selling value. This is simple. Value is what buyers believe in, and price is just an emotion. Sometimes the price becomes sensitive. That's where they understand that the value is different from what they perceived. But price is still and always an emotion. Let's look at a critical example of how psychology of pricing works. And I'm giving you a example from a hotel. So to understand why customers often behave irrationally when making purchase decisions. So let's take the option one or option A. So we talk about a base room at $125 and you offer an upgrade of $25, making the total of say $150, which gives us a premium room with a feature of higher flow, ocean view, club benefits, and all that stuff with a lot of frills. Then you have an option B. This is again a reference pricing. Look at the both the options, how they are framed. So option B talks about a room at 150 as the main offer, with an alternative being a 25 discount for a standard room without benefits. So so basically in one part you're talking about an upgrade, and in the other part you're talking about a downgrade. You're sounding over here a little bit of an inferior. So you're saying that you're already here, but if you want to go down, maybe I can go take you down, but you'll get a standard room and you won't get the benefits. But over here, you're saying that you're starting over here at 125, but we can make a good deal by offering you a 150. So price framing with the reference is also a key in the hotel industry and many other industries wherein people compare and people understand where we could go and how we could show a starting price and take the people up to the premium level, because that's where the opportunity is. That's where the revenue management function, the yield function comes into play. Types of pricing, there are many types of pricing. There are cost-based pricing, value-based pricing, competition-based pricing, wherein you generally try and compare your pricing with your comp set so that you have a greater penetration into the market. We have dynamic pricing, which is predominant in the market. We have psychological pricing, which is generally set to create a kind of an impression image in the market that, oh, X hotel is opening, so let's make sure that our prices are higher than maybe 4, 5 other brands so that we can, start off at a high. It's psychological pricing. Skimming, you start high and then slowly you go down. Not a very good practice to do. Peak pricing, again, high demand periods, you will see this kind of a pricing happening, which is again, primarily it leads to higher revenue generation, and you're basically controlling your demand. And then we have others. This is one thing that you have seen in your lives. Probably whenever you go to a McDonald's, Starbucks, you see this decoy pricing, wherein it's a very successful strategy used across various industries, where it's in retail and in cafes, everywhere, in subscription, Netflix, everywhere you'll see this, wherein they would put the decoy in between. So there will be a very minimal difference. They will push you to buy the higher category one with the premium one, and actually we'll end up buying it. Why? We say, oh, it's just maybe 10 rupees more or 15 rupees more, let's go for it. It has much more, it has a bigger value attached to it. So that's how pricing work, decoy pricing work. And this is there. I mean, McDonald's carries out this kind of a decoy pricing. You go to all these multiplexes, they'll do it. You go to Starbucks, I'm sure Starbucks does it over there. Everywhere. It's a practice which basically the core idea is to push people to buy a higher graded product, a premium product. Now I have a small section which I would like you all to view. This gives us a clear-cut understanding of willingness to pay. Now this certainly is about something different, but the message is what we are trying to highlight. Have a look.
Hello. Yes, I hope so. Tooth extraction. One tooth, but I need to ask you for a quote first. I need to know your lowest price. One tooth to be taken out, lowest price. Okay, well, just assume it's an easy one. Assume the cheapest one. Lowest price is the main thing here. 1,600. Okay, does that include a nurse assisting you? How about if we leave out the nurse and just tag it in on the end of someone else's appointment? How much would it be then? 1,200. That's still a lot more than I thought it would be. Why so much? An hour of your time. Okay, well, I understand that because you gently remove the tooth, it takes a long time to, but price is the important thing here. Don't worry about gently removing the tooth or anything. How much for a quick 10-minute get it out extraction? 900. Still too high. Does that include pre-injections? Those little jabs you give that just numb up the gum before the main injection? Okay, what if you leave those out? Well, of course, yeah, I understand it will be much more painful, but low price is more important. What's your lowest price without the pre-injections? 700. Well, yeah, that's obviously better, but I may have mentioned low price is the most important factor here, so is there a way you can get a bit more off the price? Half dosage of the main injection, what will that bring it down to? Total agony, but 500. Well, okay, look, I really want the lowest price deal here. What if you do it with no injections at all? Yeah, I know it will be absolutely agonisingly, excruciatingly painful, but I really mean it when I say lowest cost is the priority here. Okay, I'll hold. Can't believe he's never done it before with no injection. Hello? Yes, I'm still here. 200. Okay, that's great. That's a deal. Right. Can I book the wife in then, please? lowest.
So that was a clear-cut understanding, and the last
Yes.
sentence was amazing. He was not doing it for himself. So. Revenue management, in revenue management, we certainly try and understand, while pricing is key, however, other factors, they play a very important role. And the first step is to understand the customer of what he is willingness to pay. What is his willingness to pay? Where does he stand? I mean, there's certainly this kind of an understanding only comes when you understand your customer, you understand your target market, and our first step is to certainly focus on our customer, understand the price point, and then deliver what we are supposed to deliver as a hotel, as a product. Let's look at this one too. This talks about our position, of how we are in our position when we are dealing. This is a little bit about a negotiation and understanding your customer, and what are the steps we use when we say that we are trying to understand our customer. So this is a clip from a series called Taxi. Now it's Jim who's burned down Louis' apartment. So his father has given a blank check saying that, okay, you fill it up and cover. That was classic. So they didn't know, and they underestimated that his dad was expecting something more. So qualifying, in this perspective, qualifying is very important. Price positioning is more important, and the market context. I mean, you can feel anything, but what is going on in the market, how the market is reacting to the business, to the demand, is very important to understand. If you don't understand, then this is what happens, wherein your price lower while your competitors, ComSet, are charging very high prices. So staying in tune with the market is very key. Understanding your customer is very key in terms of pricing as well as driving your business. Let's talk about a little bit on the cross sell and upsell. So cross sell is basically focuses on complementary items to enhance the dining experience. And as you see, I mean, you can see these kind of examples happening in many of our retail outlets, while upselling is more of encouraging the guest to buy premium options, wherein you have a little bit of an opportunity to get higher revenues, offer many other services, which could, be a good thing to offer to a guest who is ready to pay. Upsell has many multiple models. We generally see in hotels conventional upsell, wherein we, at the time of arrival, you would find our front desk, frontline team offering a guest and trying to upsell them. And nowadays we have many other methods, which is one electronic method would be to open rooms upgrade and ancillary upsell online, wherein we have a system wherein they would send emails to the prospective guests who were supposed to come. So 7 days or 5 days out, the guest would receive an email and he would opt or say, thank you, we don't need a room to be upsold. And then the last one is just like how we do it in airlines. You get an online bidding model wherein you just need to move the slider to project what you want to pay for that upsold room. So if you move the slider and say that, okay, this much, it gets recorded, it goes back to the hotel. Just before you come to the hotel, you receive an email saying that, yes, we have considered your deal, and whatever you have highlighted, we would accept it, and your bid is confirmed. So based on that, you get the special room, the upgraded room. So all these are currently happening in terms of upsell, whether it's rooms or even for ancillaries. All this put together, we certainly, this is the basic aspect of revenue management. But then again, there is one critical aspect of how we sell our rooms. We sell our rooms through our brand. We sell our rooms through through OTA partners, through different other channels. So there are many other areas through which we sell our rooms. Not everything is in our control, but when we try to make sure that at least we control the price. So when it comes to distribution, sales, marketing, revenue, all of us, we work together. Sales does mostly the contracting part. Marketing and digital probably would be managing the content part, and revenue optimization teams, we manage the pricing and the price value aspect of distribution. Now, distribution is very easy. It's how you sell the rooms to different partners, and how much more you can do at the level of a hotel is where else can you send the rates is what our key criteria is. So not only that we say that, okay, fine, our rates are not available in certain markets. When we say that today in this world, we can certainly see that the moment you put up a rate on your, whether booking.com, on Expedia, or whichever channel, the rate goes across to each and every corner of the world. So the point is that distribution today is a platform where in seconds you can send your rate to each and every part of the world, wherein you become a hotel which is bookable within minutes. It is not, we are not in those times wherein you had to call up a travel agent or some partner to book a hotel. So global distribution systems, OTA partners, they have all helped in reaching this stage. So those were the days wherein you would try and get hold of a brochure, travel agent, but we are not in those days. We have passed those times. Now distribution is complex. Where to look at, whom to look at, you certainly sometimes get confused. Why? Because everybody is trying to sell your room to a different partner. Distribution is complex. Distribution is to the extent of understanding the ecosystem is critical. Why? Because you need to make sure that you're selling the right product at the right price to the right partner. You don't want any kind of cannibalization happening with your rates. So you have to be critical with whom you're signing and whom you're working. Based on that, you distribute your rates and your products on the online platform. So there are a couple of OTA partners, online travel agents, who are predominantly, I would say, they are dominating. One is Expedia, they're based out of US, then it's booking.com, primarily based out of Europe, Netherlands, Amsterdam. And then we have Ctrip or trip.com, which is primarily coming out of China. GDSs are worldwide global distribution systems. The key ones are Sabre, Amadeus, Galileo, Travelport, Abacus. They are basically trying to do, they were the key partners who actually started distribution for hotels as well as for airlines. Later on, OTA partners came into the picture. The global distribution systems worldwide work with hotel partners for GDS connectivity, work with corporates so that your RFP processes are easy, so that corporates can, sitting in their offices, book hotels directly. They don't need to go to any other channel. So they have a lot of good functionality wherein GDS comes into the picture. This is a very concise, in short, showing how the rates flow in. I mean, if you go from one level to other, the rates, once pushed from the hotel, it goes to different partners at different levels, whether it includes breakfast or doesn't include breakfast, whether it includes packages, whatever, it goes from one level to the other. And each and every time, each and every stage that it goes as one price. So if it goes from the hotel, it goes as $100 price. It is supposed to go as $100 price to each and every partner of ours, because you don't want any kind of rate cannibalization to happen. So it's a very comprehensive approach to obtain peak performance. You have complex data, very detailed connectivity. You certainly look at channel costs, or who's charging how much commission. Not that you want to work with high commissionable agents. You try and bargain and negotiate and bring them down, because you know that your margins have to be kept intact. You try and look at channel profitability, and you only keep the peak performers who are going to help you, who are not going to get into some kind of wrongdoings of your rate. And then you maintain the dynamic distribution landscape, which would help you to drive the rates to across all continents and across the country. So over here, one key aspect is very important, and every hotel faces a big challenge on this, is called rate parity. Rate parity in distribution is key. You want to make sure that the same rate flows to all the channels that is being shown on your hotel website. You want the same rate to be shown. And this is where many of the channel partners, whether it's a OTA partner or anyone on meta search platforms, people try and play around with the rate. They will sometimes show inclusive taxes rate. They'll sometimes remove the VAT, add the GST. Some of your partners would even try and discount from their commission and show a rate. So your contracts have to be intact and make sure that how your how your how you're featuring the rate on your platform, on these OTA platforms, is clearly defined, because that's where the difference comes. And all these definitions are generally put down in through our systems. So systems are key. Systems understand the language. Systems help us in delivering the product. And that's where we are today. If we do not believe, if we do not follow, if we do not develop, we are nowhere. Today, systems are driving distribution, and if you don't have the right systems, you're talking about huge amount of manual work, which probably in a particular day cannot be done by different hotel. I know many hotels are probably doing it, probably the smaller ones, but it's a very difficult task to manage. So what strategy? Everything is a part of our strategy. uh, so we chalk out our own path. uh, we have to think differently, we have to do things differently, and we have to do things before the market thinks that we are doing something. We have to be ahead in the market. That's all what strategy tells us. Strategy is basically a blueprint. It tells us how to play, how to win, how to move ahead, how to achieve our goals. So we can offer a same room to a different person through a different process, depending on what value they perceive for that particular room. We achieve this by using the segmentation, by using the distribution channel. Every one of these avenues has a different distribution outlet. If I want to have a loyal customer, I would certainly push the booking through our member rates. If I want to have a customer who has some um, price sensitivity, I would probably try and get the customer to a rate like an advanced purchase on an early bird rate. If I want to have some loyal customers staying in the hotel, maybe corporate segment is a good way to look at it. If I want to have a high spender coming and staying, maybe leisure, luxury clients, maybe try and target some virtuoso Amex FHR guests. So there are different aspects at different times through different channels, which would help us to drive and reach our goal. For this, we use a lot of controls. What are the controls? Controls are restrictions. Restrictions are always not good, but certainly for us, this is the key. So the controls can be dynamic pricing models, where the prices are changing every now and then. We can put a length of stay wherein you can't stay less than 2 nights, you have to stay minimum 2 nights. Overbooking, so we sometimes we say, okay, overbook the hotel by 10 rooms, 20 rooms. Why? Because we know the demand is high, it'll pick up, and there's a wash factor, so we will overbook to make sure that we reach optimum revenue. We talk about last room values, wherein after a particular point, the system tells us that don't sell your room below this level. So it creates a hurdle. So if I'm on a particular day, I have 1 room to sell or 5 room to sell, the system tells me that, okay, don't sell the rooms below $500. So all other rates that are there in the system below 500, everything gets locked unless someone comes and overwrites it. So the system is basically telling, if you want to make more money, sell it at 500 or above 500. So any and other and all the rates that are there in the system above 500 are all open. Below that, it's all locked. So in the system, that's how our colleagues see that, oh, everything is locked. I can only sell this rate. So that's how they sell the rate. In the in our online platforms, they only see that rate or a higher category room with a higher rate. So nothing lower than that is visible. So again, that's a fencing. Distribution channel optimization, certain times wherein I would try and close the distribution channels. Why? Because I know there's a risk of a wash. I don't want to wash. So I would keep only my own channel open, or I would keep a channel open which would cover me in terms of my cancellation policy, which is very tight, wherein it will only say that if you want to book, you have to prepay. Upselling, cross-selling, they again help us in driving revenues during certain points, even during low periods as well as during high periods. And segment-based pricing, wherein each segment triggers a particular price point. Not every segment has the same price. So a corporate coming and staying at your hotel paying $100, but a group coming and staying at your hotel pays probably $85, and a person who's booking through an OTA is paying probably $200. So different prices, mix and match, help us in optimizing our revenues in the hotel. So key business objective is certainly to develop and instill a cross-functional integration approach, which will help us to focus on key revenue streams, whether it's F&B, rooms, spa. This helps us to unlock untapped profitable growth opportunities, which we see in the hotel. So there are a couple of steps that we look at every time. We first understand the baseline means where we are, how we can leverage, establish a clear-cut diagnostics, develop an actionable framework aligned to priority of deliverables, and the measure and report. So we again, it's a cycle. We keep on doing this. Why? Because we want to understand where we went right, where we went wrong, and how we can deliver our results. You must have seen this in if you analyze, you must have seen this um, in one of our matches back about 2 years back or a year and a half back, which we saw where we saw Virat Kohli uh, playing a great match wherein we won the match with Pakistan, and first he built the base, then he optimized it for a stronger result, maximizing the performance. So that's how our strategies work. To understand our market, it's again crucial. We work with pillars, different pillars, which help us harness our data, raise our brand awareness, and then help us in growing and making profitable revenue through different aspect, different markets, and then helps in the commercial organization culture, which helps us in driving a purpose of why we are doing this and how this would help us in developing the revenue. So core markets sit in the driving growth of from where we want to get the business, what is our target market, how do we harness our data, and how do we create the brand awareness. This is key in our strategic initiative of how we look at the overall picture. Let's look at key performance indicators. This is very crucial in revenue management because market is where you are actually tested. So market share is how you perform versus your competition in terms of your sales. Fair market is how you are built up. So if you have a certain percentage of inventory, how does it share with the overall physical presence in the market? So that's how fair market share is looked at. Now, market share and fair market share are terms which we use generally regularly. Why? Because we want to understand how we are performing versus our comset in the market. So we have over here two instances wherein market share of say a Hotel Utopia is 20% and the fair market share is 22%. Means the share of the inventory that Utopia has is 22%, but in the sales it is doing 20%. Means it is doing below what it has the capacity. So it is not doing well. It needs to do well. Whereas when we look at Raffles is doing 50% business, wherein its fair market share is 13%. So it's doing very well. In our real life situation, we have certainly many of these kind of things that work well, but some of the key KPIs that we need to remember is one is MPI of how our occupancy compares to our COMSET occupancy, which is market penetration index. Then we have the ARI, average rate index, again compared to our ADR, how it compares, and the revenue generation index of how our revenue, our RGI compares to our COMSET. So these are key. And we all know that the last one is the key driver, because the higher this goes, the better it is. How is the data collected by this software called STR? It's very simple. Every day it picks up the files and you create a COMSET by yourselves, and the data is masked. So the data will not be shown of other hotels other than your hotel. The other data comes as a COMSET data. I'll show you an example how it looks in a while. So TAM, SAM, SOM is very big in terms of understanding the market. TAM is a total addressable market. So you have a market or city like Pune city or Mumbai city. Serviceable market can be only the luxury market, maybe certain hotels who are sitting under the luxury market. And then you have a zonal market, or you have a market where you are targeting, which is a convention area or some other area. And then the last one is your COMSET, which is your total COMSET demand. So that's how this is. So as when you want to look at what the city is doing, you probably look at the total addressable market. When you want to look at luxury market, you would look at the second one, which is serviceable market. When you want to look at a conventional market, you would look at this. And throughout the year, when you want to compare that these are my competitors and how am I doing, then you would look at your COMSET performance. That's how we look at our business performance. This is a this is how STR looks. STR is a report that comes to all the hotels every day. So if you look at it, if you look at our property, we did well, or rather I would say we lost on occupancy. So this year we did 83.5, last year we did 85, so we lost about 1.8%. COMSET also lost a little bit on occupancy. ADR was very good. We grew ADR by 44%. COMSET also grew ADR by 41.8%. So because of the rate growth, the RevPAR comes to about 41.9% growth. They also grew, but then we were slightly higher. So overall, if we look at it, we did well, but we probably lost out on some opportunities in the occupancy. So what can we see by looking at this? We can see three things. One is obviously there has been a market shift in occupancy. So probably a good volume driven business shifted out from this market, and probably it was taken over by a high demand short period market. That's how you see the ADR growing up and this going down. We also see that the one of the hotels has shut down, probably for renovation or something, because last year there were 7 properties. This year there are 6 properties. So there has been change in the supply. If we look at our RPM report, this is again RevPAR metrics, we can look at the strategies. This hotel was always driving on rate. So that's where it sits. This is the rate axis. This is the occupancy axis. All other hotels are trying to drive occupancy. Did we see the same thing last year? Exactly. We saw the same thing last year. So the strategy of this hotel is just to drive ADR. Yes, work on occupancy, but the ADR is the key focus.
Sorry to
Sorry to
intervene,
bother you.
Mr. Chatterjee.
Sorry. Yes.
There are a few questions by the audience so far, so we were just waiting if you could take up a few questions from the participants, please.
Will you give me another 10 minutes? I would finish and then maybe I'll do it. That'll be better, I guess. Is that okay? Or you want me to take it now?
Mr. Divanji is already waiting, sir, for his next session, which
Okay.
would begin by 7:40-ish,
Okay. So how much time do I have?
So probably, after the question answer session, if the audience has some more questions, then you can take up that along with the, examples
Okay.
that you would like to show on the upcoming slides, probably.
Okay, sure. You please, let's go ahead with the questions. No problem.
So I would like to open this for the audience. If you have any questions so far, you can unmute and you can ask questions to Mr. Chatterjee, please.
Sure.
Hi, Amrit. You can go through the remaining slides if you have to quickly
Yeah.
close the loop. That's
Okay.
okay.
Sure, sure, sure. So okay, technology is something which is key because we work with technology day in day out. I mean that's our core. And in technology, the first and key criteria is to work on the forecast. So technology certainly helps us to drive the forecast because those days are certainly not there wherein we would manually do our forecast for a particular period of time, month, year. Nowadays, we are driving a forecast for within the day, in the future month, for 365 days every day. So it's a massive task, and a system can only drive that. We certainly it is a little bit of a difficult task for doing it, for us to doing it manually. So we, as you see over here, we have these systems that we work with. There are a lot of them. They all work with each other. They are seamless. They certainly gives us decisions which help in not only giving us data insight, but creates awareness, helps us in building strategies, helps us in driving the RGI for the market, drives us helping revenues for other ancillaries, spa, F&B, and then obviously it gives us a clear-cut understanding of where we are moving in terms of the commercial team certainly understands that. So when we look at certain aspects of technology, we use many systems, and if I may highlight, ideas as the core system. Then we have Amadeus systems, which are agency 360, demand 360. We have business intelligence tools for what is happening in the market, for rate insight, market insight. We have Fornova, which is a rate parity tool. We have data mining tools, which is always trying to give us more and more data, which helps us in looking at the insights. We have CRS systems, PMS, then the GDS systems, and then we have certain upsell tools which also helps us in driving revenue. The key one I would like to highlight is our ideas, which is a revenue management tool, which certainly talks about certain things which are first, it helps us in driving the forecast. It helps us in driving the forecast. Forecast comes in from by ascertaining the unconstrained demand. It helps us to optimize certain things like how we are working on the systems overrides, how we are looking at the transient demand, how special events in a particular city helps us in terms of looking at the overall business. And then we have decisions are like, it can be any kind of controls like last room availability, dynamic best available rates, some alerts, all this come into ideas. The flow of information happens in ideas to all the systems, because ideas is the system through which we get our decisions, starting from the rates, as I said, to every other aspect. And this is where all the decisions, all the strategies are flowing in for the hotel. So this is where we talk about, this is what we talk about our systems. Now a little bit on future, how things are evolving. So AI is obviously a very big story. AI in travel is rapidly changing. We have seen a lot of travel planning happening on AI platforms. We certainly have seen now slowly travel planning is changing into smarter, more personalized and interactive on these apps, and certainly these are helping to build the next generation of AI modules. Times have changed certainly, and we see some certain big changes happening wherein 61% of the travelers are saying that they are looking at social media as a source of travel inspiration, versus 35% in 2022. So Expedia has done something like a trip matching feature which helps them to, you know turn reels into Instagrammable, bookable travel itineraries. We've seen that. It's very simple. You just look at the video, you send the reel to Expedia, and there you go. You have some planning happening over here. I'm not showing this to you due to paucity of time, but you can go onto Expedia website and see this. This is very insightful because it tells us how things are done. AI today is again a very big platform, but again, the questions that come up to us is how it's going to integrate with different other platforms. Today, we are hearing that Booking.com and Expedia, they are integrating their platform with platforms like ChatGPT, wherein bookings or searches would directly go into these platforms. But again, the question comes, how convenient would that be, or how a hotel or brand website would work in such kind of a situation? What would be the direction? What would be the take on loyalty versus convenience? How would it have a guest who's trying to search or trying to plan, who has always stayed on certain member rates, being a loyal member of a particular brand, how would he perceive the overall process and the value? What is the emotional resonant experience that would be there for a guest who would be going through this overall experience? So these are certain questions be that would be highlighted, and I'm sure all the brands, they are working at the back end towards trying and merging all these platforms so that they can work with them and drive this and then take the technology to a different level. My last part, and probably I would spend not more than 2 minutes on this. This is what I wanted to show this, because this is a classic case of how business comes and how the value of business grows with time. This is a screenshot from a study from STR, wherein I want to show the Coldplay effect. This year in the month of January, Coldplay has a show over here. This is just talks about how occupancy and ADR grew just because of a special event. So 19% occupancy grew for Abu Dhabi, and 87% ADR grew for Abu Dhabi just because of this function event that happened in the city. Even if you see Ahmedabad got a huge jump in terms of the ADR. Maybe they were not as high as in terms of the ADR levels, but the growth itself shows that there are certain events that can help drive overall business for certain markets, which helps the market to drive it in the future when these events are announced. Even for the city, this was a period which was a low period, but the way the business came in close to about 60 days out, it generally gave us the understanding that this is going to be a big day. This is what I was telling when I showed you all the earlier slide of evolution of demand. Lastly, data is science, data is important, and data is where all the stories are attached. Now this is a picture of a survivor ship based on a World War II aircraft, which a fighter aircraft, which came back with all these bullet marks. So the people over there analyzing the aircraft, they spoke about that the bullets were there because the the pilot was able to get back the aircraft, and we should try and strengthen these areas so that these areas don't get hit. But uh, there was a gentleman by the name Abraham Wald, a brilliant statistician. He challenged the approach. He said that it is not those marks, those bullet marks that you see are important. We should try and look at the ones that didn't come back, or the planes that came back being hit on many other places which are critically important. So to understand this, he looked at and he pointed out to those areas of the engine and the cockpit where people probably died. They didn't, those fighter aircrafts never came back. So everybody understood the point and Wald's point, and then so finally they took a decision that they would reinforce those areas, the engine and the cockpit, so that in future the survivorship of those aircrafts are much better than what it was during that time. The story basically talks about not only focusing on successful outcomes that can sometimes lead to flawed conclusion. The correction and the right way to look at it is sometimes we don't get to see the finer points when we look at data. So I think that's key into understanding that how these lessons help us in reading data for our day-to-day activities. Thank you. Any questions or lots of questions?
I mean, the session had so many examples, so I am sure people are still, into it, and it was really, really, engaging. So, yes, the forum is open for questions. Audience, if you have any,
Ma'am, Mr. Muralidharan has a question. Mr. Muralidharan, your mic is unmuted, so you can ask your question, please.
please go ahead.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. It's a wonderful presentation today. We gained few knowledges from your presentation. So, my question to you, sir, since you are talking about this artificial intelligence, so in what ways can AI personalize the guest experience, sir? That is before or during or after their stay?
So at this point of time, guess so for in terms of when we talk about AI and role of AI in hospitality, I will not say that very little has been done. I think a lot has been done, but it has been done on certain individual platforms, like whether you talk about platforms like Expedia, Booking.com. Different chat boxes were already there where they were talking about how to personalize your trip, how to create those special experiences. But the critical way to look at AI is how does a guest who's say who comes to a particular hotel for the last 10 years, 15 years, and he's been staying in that hotel. He has specific preferences. He has a specific table that he goes and sits every day for a breakfast. He has a specific room. How that can get in is what brands are currently working on, because for a brand all these years it was more of I would say uplifting their own platform, pushing it or marketing it on Google uh, through different marketing programs, always on campaigns, and that was it. Today we are talking about not only marketing but trying to deliver an experience with minimal effort, but keeping in mind that the choices are different and the requirements are varied. So brands are working towards this. I can only tell you about what our company is doing. We have tested some couple of instances wherein we are trying to integrate our current brand.com and experiences. But again, it's something which is being worked out. How it's going to come out, we are still not sure. So there are experiences which are being done, and I think probably Expedia is a very good platform to look at. I would suggest y'all go to Expedia and try and look at or do some little bit of a Google search. You can see some examples over there of how this is building up at this point of time. Again, it's at a very nascent stage. Probably in about a year's time, you would see much better options coming out, which helping the guests to create their own experiences and personalize it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So, and also, I have one more question to this.
Yes,
This
sir.
is in part of the education of the hotel management student. Sir, my second question is, in what ways can AI make teaching and learning more engaging and personalized for these students who are
Um,
studying hospitality?
I think first we need to understand that first we need to understand our core functionality. I think if we understand the core functionality, core concepts, that will create and help the understanding of what's coming in future. I mean, we certainly do not none of us, we don't want to jump to step 3 without understanding step 1 and step 2. I think the concepts that one would understand is probably go from the basic level to the next level and to the third level. AI is certainly very important. AI is something which is going to come, and but one thing is very critical, and we have to understand that we are talking about an industry which has been run by people. It's a people's industry. Whatever said and done, we can say we'll get 5 robots, 10 robots, 20 robots across hotels. Personalization is key. So it is very important for us to first keep that aspect in mind. We cannot become, we always, hotels always tried to, when we were doing marketing on Google, hotels always tried to become the booking.coms of the world. But we are not, we cannot. Why we cannot? Because that's not our core business. Booking.com spends probably $10 or $20 behind each and every search. We cannot, a hotel cannot. Probably a hotel will search probably $1 or a half a dollar. We don't have the funds to spend. So what we need to understand is where we need to focus. We need to focus on areas like services, areas which we need to deliver as guest experiences, and then understand the aspect or the knowledge function where we have our interest. Based on that, we can develop. Things like AI will keep coming. Different aspects of our business will be taken over or driven in a different way. But that certainly doesn't mean that we need to focus so much on AI that we forget our core deliverables. That should be the key.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for your answer, sir. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Sarika ma'am will have a group
Um,
photograph
and sir,
Sure.
there is some
before
more
we close the
questions.
session.
There are a couple more questions. Mr. Umang, if
Yes.
you can please
Yeah, yes,
continue.
sir. First of all, I would like to say it's a very insightful and knowledgeful session for all of us.
Thank you,
You
sir.
really offered a new dimension toward the revenue management as of with the present trends.
Thank
My
you, sir.
question is that we when I was in my college days during the graduation of hotel management, I learned more about the timeshare concept, which was really helpful during the situations like 9/11 and we can say that parliament attack in India. So is that the same thing is also applicable as of now, or we are like what are the demerits? If it is not, then what are the demerits of time sharing? Because of that it is going out.
I don't think we need to think about it from the point of merit or demerit. It's a business model, right? It's a business model that uh, you probably worked well at a particular time, and at this point of time probably in certain areas it is not working. We see this business model of a timeshare kind of a model even over here in this market. But if you ask me, is it predominant, is it very common? No, it's not common. Again, it depends on the person who is driving that model, whether it's a brand or whether it's a single owner. Mostly there are specific brands who are expert in this model. So people who are doing this, they're doing it very well. But again, will you see that happening on a regular basis in a large scale? No. I mean, we shouldn't say that it is diminishing because the numbers are not great. Numbers, we have to think about it, that why they're not great. They're not great because it requires investment. It requires a certain amount of investment from multiple people or multiple clients or multiple guests. So maybe that pattern is not so much common at this point of time for certain markets. But is it dying? No, it is not dying. It is there, but it is not so common as probably it used to be. Maybe it at one point of time it was very common in India, but it is not growing. Why? Because the investment probably is not um, so popular from the from the point of view of the client or the guest, that it is not driving that kind of numbers to spring up in different cities.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, Mr. Ravi Shirsagar.
Sir. Good evening, sir. This is Ravi, and I'm having a query regarding the rate parity.
Sure, sir.
Uh, I had seen that the same property is listed on different OTAs with different pricing and listing. So how
Absolutely
does
wrong. Absolutely wrong. We face this challenge every day.
okay?
So I'll keep it short and simple. This is a predominantly very big challenge in the hotel industry. Especially it pinches most of the big brands because all these channels they undercut and they try and offer the guest a lower rate. So there are a couple of points over here which are very important. One is that if you go to Google or if you go to say TripAdvisor, sometimes you'll see that if X property is priced at 100, some channel maybe booking.com on Expedia is showing 95, 99. So there are two ways of doing it. One is they try and undercut by giving away a little bit of their commissions to price it lower so that people click on that and they buy. This is one part. Second part, sometimes when you click and go in, you see the same rate of $100. That can be because of some issue with the technology. So the latency is there wherein the rate didn't flow. It could happen because of that. Second, there could be also a trick that they mask the rate outside, and when you go in, you see the actual correct rate of $100. Third, very importantly, these rates flow through different channels. So sometimes what happens that there are some distributors who come in and who offer lower rates which are not supposed to go into those channels. Say you have given a travel agent a rate of $75 and the travel agent is not supposed to sell that rate on the online platform, but he is a smart guy. He straight away goes and says booking.com, I will give you a rate, you can book me and you can give me 7% commission. So he goes and dumps the rate and booking.com starts showing that rate on these meta search platforms. So these are the ways how you could see your actual rate of $100 slowly diminishing on all these third party platforms. So what is the way, how do we manage it? Regular shops, regular tests. So there are platforms like Fornova. We subscribe to that. We tell them to do the tests and we find out. And when we find out, we write to them and we tell them, take it down or we will take you down. So then they start behaving like a good boy. So they take it down then.
All right, sir. Got it now. But I
Thank you.
think this sort of thing will definitely hamper the brand image of the hotel because
Absolutely.
every
Absolutely. And we have a policy. We say that we have a best rate guarantee. Shangri-La has a best rate guarantee. So whenever somebody finds a cheaper rate on any other platform, we say that we will give you that rate and we will give you a 10% discount or a refund of that value to the extent of 10% on your folio. So we do that. It's a loss for the hotel, for the brand.
got it, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sarika,
All
madam?
right, sir. Do we have any more questions?
No, ma'am. You can proceed.
My sincere apologies to Mr. Samir
Mm,
Divanji.
absolutely.
Noted.
So can we have a group photograph, Sundar sir?
Yeah, sir, if you can stop sharing and
Okay,
request
sure.
everyone to switch on your cameras, please.
Everybody is requested to switch on the cameras, please. So most of them have switched on. So I think we are good to click frame by frame.
Yeah, I'm going page wise, so 6 pages,
7.
7 pages. Yeah, we're done.
So it was absolutely thorough, Amrit, and all as always. And I'm sure many people are going to shift to revenue management now.
Oh, sorry, Samir. Sorry, I'm very sorry. I
No,
exceeded
yeah,
my
that's
time.
fine. That's fine. I'll ensure you compensate. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, thanks a lot.
Amrit,
Thank you,
thank you.
sir.
And I go back 25 years back, so
Yeah,
that's that we are very good friends with family friends also.
yeah.
So,
Thank you.
good evening, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
And towards the end of this session, a wonderful session given by Mr. Chatterjee, which was truly, truly insightful based on the revenue management strategies and how beautifully he connected the starting with the basic thoughts, like how it evolved during the airlines and eventually how hotels started following it. With the terms like TREFPAR, which I didn't hear earlier, TRM, GOPAR, and of course the yield management, which is not very easy to understand. But with your real world examples, especially on the price sensitivity and decoy pricing, you really made it a little simpler, and it was really thought provoking how these strategies are helping hotels to take their decisions. And of course, data driven systems which are shaping the hotels with their current distribution and marketing strategies. And of course, the classic example of the Coldplay that you mentioned towards the end. So we really, really appreciate the
Are
way
you
how.
inviting Taylor Swift again?
Never know. Next year, I think the Ministry of Tourism, they have some plans. So let's see. We
Your
might.
ADR and your occupancies will shoot up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. So thank you once again, sir, for your valuable
Thank you.
time and enriching us with your expertise and the understanding of the revenue management. We
Thank you.
wish you a very good evening ahead, and thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a
Thank you.
lot. Thank you. All the best, Samir.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.